Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back to Guys That Magic. This is Hunter, Shane, and David. Say what up, boys.
Yep.
What up, boys?
We're back. We got more spoiler season. This time we're talking about Innistrad, Crimson Vow. Let's just jump straight into these spoilers because today was the first announcement. I think spoiler season officially starts next week. Is that right, David?
I would imagine probably tomorrow, but I'm not entirely sure.
Well, either way, today's the first day of spoiler season, and we got quite the amount. So let's just start off. They finished the cycle of the dual lands, the quote slow lands. Yeah, not too impressive, but
Yeah, these are just okay.
I think they will go into pretty much any standard deck that runs those colors.
Did you see the full art version
Yeah,
of them, dude? They're fucking gorgeous.
Yeah, it looks sick.
Oh, they're super pretty. It's just like functionality. They don't really excite me.
Yeah, they're just
Well, yeah. So that's it. That's for the lands. They're just lands, dual lands. So let's talk about some of the mythics from the set. First off, we've got the bride herself. This is Olivia, Crimson Bride. She costs 4, a black and a red for a 3/4 legendary creature vampire noble. She's got flying and haste. It says, whenever she attacks, return target creature card from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains. When you don't control a legendary vampire, exile this creature. What do we think, David?
If you grab a legendary vampire from your graveyard, it counts itself, which is actually kind of in like an interesting little like get around. I think the card is kind of dope. I think 6 mana is still like pretty expensive, so unless you're recurring something that's going to win you the game, I don't know if this is going to see standard play.
Yeah, I think it's pretty expensive as well. Shane?
I think that its power is definitely matched the price though. Like that's nuts.
Yeah, but we saw all the adversaries from the last set. Those powers, pretty nuts.
Yeah, I mean, but this is attacking right away. It's flying, and it's bringing back. I mean, it definitely is an all-star for EDH, but I could see it being played in standard.
Oh, for sure. And we'll get to
Finisher
our
or something.
EDH grades for this in another video when they're done with the set.
Yeah, maybe it's like
Yeah.
a 1 or 2 for a standard deck, maybe at the top end of like your Vampire Tribal or something like that to be able to recur your pieces. I would love to see something with reanimation built around this, but I don't know if the pieces are going to exist in standard.
Yeah.
During
I think it's
that
pretty
announcement
cool.
video too, dude, they talked about the fucking detail. I didn't even notice until they talked about how like it's all souls that are attached to her dress. It's fucking rad, dude.
Yeah, it's the art. I think the art
Yeah.
for these last 2 sets have been super cool. All right, moving on. Next up, we got a new Sorin Planeswalker. This is Sorin the Mirthless. Sorin costs 2 and 2 black with a starting loyalty of 4. It has a +1 that says, look at the top card of your library. You may reveal that card. Put it into your hand. If you do, you lose life equal to its mana value. It's got a -2 ability that says create a 2/3 black vampire creature token with flying and lifelink. And it has a -7, which is its ultimate ability. That says it deals 13 damage to any target. You gain 13 life. I am pretty underwhelmed with this Planeswalker.
Yeah,
I am the exact opposite.
This boy's super emo, dude. Look at his fucking art.
I think this card is insane.
It's not insane, David.
How?
So it's a 4-drop walker that comes down and is able to protect itself immediately.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that. Yeah. Okay.
It has the ability to draw you cards, and then the creatures that it makes have flying and lifelink, which means they're probably going to be able to get in for combat damage, if not just be blockers. So like the life loss on this thing really is just going to probably be negligible. And then its ult, which doesn't take super long to get to, the deal 13 damage to any target and you gain 13 life. 9 times out of 10, that's going to hit an opponent. That's probably just going to kill somebody. I think this card is very, very good.
It's counterintuitive to what you just said, though. If you're minusing it to protect itself, you're not getting to 7 anytime soon.
Oh, no. I mean, I just look at it like if you need to, you can drop this thing -2 it on the first turn that it comes in, and it'll protect itself. The 2/3 vampire with flying and lifelink, that still serves as a blocker for you. And I mean, realistically speaking, you're probably playing, I don't know, some kind of other creatures in this deck. So, like, This I think fits in perfectly with like a vampire tribal deck where you're just trying to vomit out those vampires. He draws you more, he makes more of them, and then he himself acts as a win condition as well. I love this card.
I don't know, dude. I
Yeah.
disagree. I think the draw thing, losing life, sucks. You've already got, you're able to draw cards with Lolth Spider Queen and Professor Onyx. You only
Those are
lose.
both
Those are both Black Planeswalkers that
that
cost
come
4
down.
mana.
I don't know. His first ability is a Bob. Bob is fantastic.
Bob is fantastic.
Yeah, I think, I don't know. I think I like the card draw with the other two.
Also, don't like the card name because it makes me have a lisp.
Mirthless.
And Mirthless.
All right, let's move on to another card. This is another werewolf. This is Volatile Arsonist. Volatile Arsonist is 3 and 2 red for a 4/4 human werewolf. It's got menace and haste. It says whenever it attacks, it deals 1 damage to each of up to 1 target creature, up to 1 target player, and or up to 1 target planeswalker. And it's daybound, which means if it is nightbound, it turns into Dire Strain Anarchist, which is a 5/5, also has menace and haste, and it says when it attacks, it deals 2 damage to each of up to 1 target creature, of up to 1 target player, and or up to 1 target planeswalker.
Pretty heavy.
So it just gets +1 stat on pretty much the entire card when it's night.
Is this Red's version of Questing Beast? Because it hits planeswalkers, it comes down with haste. It's got a ton of keywords on it. I actually don't know if I like this card too much. I think this thing is going to be an absolute beating for like limited as a top end creature that's going to be able to get in and like nuke your opponent's board. I don't know. The 1 damage probably won't be doing a whole lot. The 2 damage whenever this thing flips, definitely very scary. And if this thing comes down nightbound, I think that you need to be able to deal with it immediately.
I think this is going to be pretty good in mono red aggro.
Does mono red aggro want to get to the point where it has 5 mana though?
I think it will work.
To me, at that point, I feel like you're playing more like a big red because mono red aggro to me. I mean, like I want to end the game as soon as I possibly can, and if I'm getting 5 lands in play, like something is probably not going right, and I don't want to have this card in my hand because I mean, in the opening turns, I can't cast it. This is a dead card. I'd rather have something else like drop something smaller with haste or be able to just push damage in. So,
well, I look at it like mono red right now is dead in standard. There's nothing. Nobody's running mono red. So I think this could potentially push it.
Wouldn't be aggro though. It'd probably be like a mid range, like you're saying though.
yeah,
Yeah.
I feel like this fits in more with like a big red, somewhere that you would find like Goldspan Dragon, or I think that's a horrible example because I would see playing in so many Izzet
Yeah, I
decks,
was
but
gonna
it's
say-
like it fills that kind of role, or it fills that kind of lane where it's the big threat that also has these additional abilities stapled onto it that it's putting that pressure on its opponent. It's just you have to survive long enough for this thing to actually get into play.
I gotcha. Moving on, we have Savior of Ollenbock. Savior of Ollenbock is 1 and 2 white for a 1/2 creature human soldier. It's got the new keyword training, which means whenever this creature attacks with another creature with greater power, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Whenever Savior of Ollenbock trains, exile up to 1 other target creature from the battlefield or a creature card from a graveyard. When Ollenbock leaves the battlefield, put the exile cards onto the battlefield under their owner's control. So essentially, you can bring your own shit back.
You can also use this on your opponent's stuff. It doesn't say just target creature you control, by the way.
Right. But why would you bring your opponent's stuff back?
No, you exile it from the board.
Yeah, you exile off the board, but I'm saying if you got a card from your graveyard that you want back, put that back in there.
Oh no, absolutely.
That's wild.
I think
I
it's
didn't
just
think
like
about that.
it's additional upside. It's just like it's not locking you into it. I'm not too sure. What do you guys think about this new mechanic, just in general? This like reverse mentor.
So yeah, it looks very familiar.
I think it's pretty cool. I think it goes. What they're trying to do is fit with Coven, it seems. But
Yeah.
different powers and stuff.
I'm not for or against it, I guess. I'm very neutral about it.
Yeah, I look at it like this. You have I can't remember the name of the card, but it's the 2-mana 3/2 that's currently running in white. You play that turn 2, play this turn 3, attack with both in turn 4. This will grow the next 2 turns because it's less than a 3/2. It's pretty cool.
See, my only gripe with this is that, like, I don't know, because you can still exile your opponent's creatures. I feel like the first time that this thing swings, you're probably going to have to target one of your opponent's creatures and not something that you have in the graveyard, which I'm not necessarily saying is a downside. It just kind of forces the lane for you. Because if you are dropping this on turn 3 and swinging with this on turn 4, your opponent at that point realistically probably has a 3-drop, potentially even a 4-drop in play, which is going to kill this thing, even if this thing trains. I mean, whenever it trains, it becomes a 2/3, so chances are it's still gonna die via combat, so you're probably gonna have to get rid of that threat. I don't know. The card is still good. Don't get me wrong.
I think it's going to fit perfectly. Right now, there is a mono white exile deck that is running through standard. So this is going straight into that deck.
And I kind of feel like you'd never be trading because wouldn't the stack work as you'd get the 1/1 counter as you attack, then you'd
Yeah.
exile before you even get the blocks?
That's why I'm saying that you would have to, like, it forces your lane and that your first attack, you'd have to be targeting something that your opponent controls and not
Yeah.
going after your own graveyard for that extra, like, later
Yeah.
on in the game, I'm going to build back up type of thing.
It's fine. It's got utility for different. Yeah, it's fine. I'm okay
I
with
think
that.
it's dope. I like it.
Also, please tell me these won't be highlighted like that on the cards, right?
No, they're not. There's it
Okay.
was this was
There's
just
like 3 that are like that. I was like, what the fuck?
they're just giving the new mechanic. So yeah, those are the mythics for today. Let's move on to the rares. I think this one is pretty cool. This is called By Invitation Only. It is a sorcery that costs 3 and 2 white. It says choose a number between 0 and 13. Each player sacks that many creatures. That is a commander staple. It's a very good board wipe.
Why even put the wording there of 0? What the fuck?
I don't know.
Is that to signify if one of the players doesn't have any creatures or something? I don't know.
Each player sacks 0. That makes no sense. I get it. But from 0 to 13, this gets around indestructible. That's fantastic.
So I just want to clarify a couple of things here. The first thing that I have, and because I haven't really done a whole lot of homework on these cards, so excuse me on that one. I see the collector number on this is 346, which makes me feel like this is going to be not in the normal set. This is the commander card. Am I correct, or is that just because this is like the alternate frame?
I think it's the alternate frame.
Okay. My other thought on this is like
it comes with a different symbol.
Okay. I love the artwork on this card. I think that the ability on it is really interesting. I don't understand how this is white. I feel like this card screams black.
Yeah, well,
don't we have a lot of like? Oh, because sacrifice. Got it. I was thinking exile.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
like this is mass sacrifice. I mean, like I get that like the white portion of this, I guess, is like the whole like equality and everybody sacrificing things, but just like sacrificing this, it's like I just feel like this is a very black effect, not necessarily a really white effect. And to see the 2 white pips on there, I don't know. This card just feels funky to me. I still like it. I don't actually know if it's good because
I think
like
it's very good. Like I said, it gets around creatures that are indestructible.
yeah,
You're coming from an EDH standpoint, though.
you are. I
True.
mean, I'm
I
just
understand
looking
that.
at this from like a standard perspective. I mean, 5 mana for a board wipe. It's cool, but there's better options already out there. And then, do you really need to ever say 13? Probably not.
Well, this also gets around like a deck here. Speaking of standard, like a coma deck. This will wreck coma.
Yeah.
I think it's cool.
It's very flavorful.
Definitely very flavorful. All right, let's move on to another white card. This is Sigarda's Summons. Sigarda's Summons is an enchantment that costs 4 and 2 white. It says creatures you control with a +1/+1 counter on them have base power and toughness 4/4, have flying, and are angels in addition to the other types.
EDH.
Very straightforward.
I actually don't know if I like this card for EDH. I love this card for limited. This is a fucking powerhouse.
Yeah, the fuck, dude. That's a fucking expensive card.
I know. I get that it is expensive, but like this is the top of the curve. So like you're just going and like say for example, I mean like if you are playing with the, forgive me, what is the name of the new mechanic here? Training. Or if you're playing with Coven, you're playing with these mechanics that already care about those +1/+1 counters, either for this set or you could do like the double feature type thing where you're drafting both of them. You're probably going to be playing with a lot of +1/+1 counters. I know that this card is a rare, but like if you drop this, your creatures are 4/4s plus the amount of counters that they have on them, and they have flying. Like you're gonna just win the game.
I'm definitely not arguing that one. No, I'm saying it screamed as too. The price of it is what drove me towards EDH because I don't see you dropping this in standard.
Oh, I don't think standard at all. I completely agree with you on that. I just think like this is the card that my opponent is going to drop whenever I go down to like fucking play sealed at the pre-release or something like that, and all of their little one or all of their I guess like little 2/2s because they have a +1/+1 counter on them turn into this like army of angels, and I just get annihilated out of nowhere.
Yep,
For sure. This card would have fit nicely in the Coven counter deck. Let's move on. This is Overcharged Amalgam. This is 2 and 2 blue for a 3/3 creature, zombie horror. It's got flash, it's got flying, it's got exploit, and in case you forgot, it's when this creature enters the battlefield, you may sack another creature, and it says, whenever he exploits a creature, counter target spell, activate ability, or triggered ability. Mr. Blue Player Shane, what do you think of this card?
all right, I like it a lot. 4 mana, flash, flying. You get to do something when it comes in, meaning counter. Fucking amazing. So it's basically a counter and a body and a flyer, and I think it's fucking really good.
I completely agree with you. I mean, like worst case scenario, I think with this card is that you flash it in, and then like you have a 3/3 surprise blocker that your opponent didn't consider, and like if you need it to be a counterspell, it's also potentially a counterspell, and it's a disallow at that too. So I mean, you can get rid of one of their pesky abilities. I mean, say for example they have a planeswalker like the new Sorin that's getting ready to ult. Just go ahead and say no.
Negative Ghost Rider. The whole like exploit though, it's interesting, but hey, whatever. So you do have to sacrifice something, right?
Yeah, so you do have to sacrifice something. So this is actually a returning mechanic. I don't remember being a huge fan of it last time around. I feel like this time, I don't know, maybe just because this card is a rare, I feel like this might be a little bit more on the pushed end. To me, exploit just kind of feels like it's an enter the battlefield ability that only sometimes happens for creatures, and then other times they're just like they're a little bit overcosted because they have a potential upside to them. I don't actually see that with this card. 4 mana for a 3/3 with flying and flash is just fantastic as is. So having the exploit there is just kind of just icing on the cake.
Wait a minute.
Like
Now
a lot.
now I'm realizing this. The May part, like, so I thought this was a negative. I thought this like made you do this, so you don't
You
have to do
may.
it.
Nope.
Mm-mm.
So is this because like if one of your creatures has like a thing that says they can't attack, like why would you do this?
I mean, you do this, for example, if you need it to be that counterspell.
Oh, it only becomes a counterspell if you exploit.
Yes, it only does a
I
counterspell.
got it. Yeah, they're like the space between that. Got it. I was confused.
But I mean, even at that, you still get the body on this card, so if
Got
it
it.
plays
Got it.
double duty.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, I like it a lot too. Let's move on to David. I think you love this card. This is Grolnok, the Omnivore. Grolnok is 2 a green and a blue for a 3/3 legendary creature frog. It says, whenever a frog you control attacks, mill 3 cards. Whenever a permanent card is put into your graveyard from your library, exile it with a croak counter on it. You may play lands and cast spells from among the cards you own in exile with croak counters on them. David, why do you like this card?
Dude, I love this card so much. This may be my second favorite legendary frog to ever come out of Innistrad, which isn't very much.
It's kind of a specific thing.
Well, I mean, the first time around we got the Gitrog monster, which I feel like at this point, dude, just frogs on Innistrad, man. These things got some power behind them. I think this card is nuts. So the reason specifically why I really like this, the second line of text, whenever a permanent card is put in your graveyard from your library, exile it with a croak counter on it. That doesn't just mean whenever this thing attacks or whenever another frog you control attacks. So any kind of self-mill that you're doing also is going to start exiling those cards out. So in a way, it kind of like pseudo protects your graveyard because you're exiling these cards out. You don't need to worry about, okay, well, is my like key card or are pieces of my combo going to be like exiled out of my graveyard if I start putting them in there, because they're already gone. It prevents your opponents from interacting with it, and then you can still continue to cast stuff out of your graveyard too. My other like amazing thing that goes along with this is like it doesn't even just have like a 1 card per turn clause or anything like that. So I look at it like, I mean, if you are able to start self-milling, those are all additional just like kind of pseudo-functional card draws that you just got off of this. I think that there is a world in which you can build this where this card just goes nuts, and given a key couple pieces that you can throw in and with a deck with this, I can see you basically having access to your entire deck.
Yeah, so how does that
I was
work?
gonna say that.
You can play spells an unlimited amount of times, right?
I mean,
So you
Because it
can
doesn't say
cast them from exile.
right, and then once it leaves exile, it goes back to your graveyard, correct?
yeah, but
So
then
yeah,
you can't.
And then when it goes to your graveyard, it goes back to exile.
Yeah, but it says
Then you can
from your
cast it again.
library. No, it says from your library.
Just says
You
when
don't-
a permanent card is put into your graveyard. Oh,
from your library.
Got it.
Yep. So it is a one-time thing. So you can't like use and abuse it. That was obviously, I think that limiter on there prevents some incredibly insane shenanigans. But I still think that this card is really scary powerful.
And what do you think?
Dude, it gives, dude. It's like you have no max hand size, like David just said. That's the first thing I thought of. Was like you have access to all these cards now. You don't have to worry about having them in your hand. You don't have to worry. Like it almost gives everything flashback too. I mean, you didn't play it the first time, but I don't know. That's fucking crazy. I didn't actually see this card when it first was announced.
And we will talk about this card again when we do our commander video because it is legendary.
That's a fucking A+ commander, dude.
Spoilers.
Let's talk about another one that we could potentially see as a commander. This is Dorothea. Interesting name. Dorothea, Vengeful Victim, which is a white and a blue for a 4/4 legendary creature spirit. It's got flying. It says, when Dorothea, Vengeful Victim attacks or blocks, sack it at the end of combat. It also has a disturb cost that costs 1, a white and a blue. So when you pay the disturb cost, it comes back as an enchantment called Dorothea's Retribution. It states enchant creature, and enchanted creature has, whenever this creature attacks, create a 4/4 white spirit creature token with flying that's tapped and attacking. Sack that token at the end of combat, and of course, if this card would be put into a graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead.
This card
What do we-
is fucking amazing. I fucking love this card so much, dude. I get that you the minute you block it dies, but dude, it's like almost a callback to what was it? Is it like Falcon Wrath Aristocrat, or what's the one that whenever you attack it makes the thing attacking with it?
Geist of St. Traft is what you're looking for.
Thank you.
I
And
think
that card was
this is,
fucking nuts.
I think this is supposed to be the spirit.
There you go. Yeah, this card I think is amazing. Yeah, it's the fact that it's a 2-mana 4/4, which I get, and then you block or attack, it dies, but you kind of almost want it dead.
You want the enchantment,
Yeah,
for sure.
I think.
Get some
The en-
4/4 swinging very quickly.
So the enchantment part of it is really cool. My only like little thing here is that it's gonna exile this thing in the case that the creature dies, which sucks.
Yeah.
I guess that
True.
makes sense. Otherwise, you would just continue to
It would
disturb
be
it. I guess.
pretty broken.
But I don't know.
It's
There's
a
got to
cool
be some
callback,
limits to it. Yeah.
I love the flavor of this card. I really do.
Yeah.
That's very cool.
They got a lot of love. They got a lot more spirits in the set. I'm very excited.
All right, let's move on to another card. This is Wedding Announcement. Wedding Announcement is an enchantment that costs 2 and a white. It states at the beginning of your end step, put an invitation counter on Wedding Announcement. If you attacked with 2 or more creatures this turn, draw a card. Otherwise, create a 1/1 white human creature token. Then, if Wedding Announcement has 3 or more invitation counters on it, transform it. When it is transformed, it becomes Wedding Festivity. Wedding Festivity states creatures you control get +1/+1.
This screams Hunter.
I'll tell you what. I like it a lot. And I think I like the front side better, and I would be bummed for it to transform. But
that was my exact reaction with this card too.
yeah. It's got card draw, which is great. And then once it sucks because It's at the beginning of your end step, so it doesn't last forever. It's not even like if you need a certain amount of creatures. It just is telling you like you only get 3 turns with the goodness.
The kid gets. That's all you need, man.
I think this
Yeah.
card is really weird. It's like it's a card that's like it's the A plus B, but once it goes to B, you don't get any of A anymore. And I feel like in a lot of situations I'd rather have A.
Well, just
Yeah.
keep playing A, dude.
Just keep playing. Hey, just have
Run four
run
of it,
4 of
let's go.
them. Yeah.
Also, I love the artwork on this card. How the female vampire here is like, oh my god, we got invited to the wedding. I'm so happy. Like, I don't know. It's just
And then
something about this idea of a vampire, and she looks very sentimental here. It's just I can't really wrap my head around that.
Well, that's,
look how happy they are on the second part.
dude, vampires are people too, bro.
They're drinking blood wine.
Dude, they look great, man. It's got this vampire chick and then fucking Gaston.
Speaking of vampires, we're going to move on to Voldaren Bloodcaster. Voldaren Bloodcaster is 1 and a black for a 2/1 creature vampire wizard. It's got flying. It states whenever Voldaren Bloodcaster or another non-token creature you control dies, create a blood token. Those are the new tokens. It's an artifact that has 1, tap it, discard a card, sack this artifact, draw a card. And whenever you create a blood token, if you control 5 or more blood tokens, transform Voldaren Bloodcaster. It transforms into Bloodbat Summoner. It is a 3/3 with flying that states at the beginning of combat of your turn, up to 1 target blood token you control becomes a 2/2 black bat creature with flying and haste in addition to its other types.
I don't like blood tokens.
You don't
Too
like
much
blood
shit,
tokens?
dude. You gotta pay one. You gotta discard a card. Sacrifice it. Draw a card. Like, holy fuck. It's getting too complicated.
You're cycling your hand.
All just to draw a fucking card. Like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, whenever I first saw the blood tokens in the announcement this morning, I could have sworn they were going to lead into like, and madness is in this set, or some kind of payoff there, which aside from Disturb, there really doesn't seem to be much one in this set. So I'm with Shane on this one. I'm not sure if I'm super high on the blood tokens. Now, don't get me wrong, I think this card, as far as like stat wise, is fucking really pushed. So I think this is a good card. But blood tokens themselves, I don't think I'm super stoked on.
You're not stoked on blood tokens, dude?
Not my kink.
Alright. Fair enough.
Geek. All right, so what do we think about this card? It's not good because of the blood tokens?
Oh, I mean, I think it's still really good. I just don't
Will it
like
see-
what the blood
will it
token
see
makes
play?
you do.
It's
Probably,
2 mana
yeah.
for a 2/1 with flying in the right tribe with upside. This will absolutely see play. You know, even if Vampire Tribal like isn't a tier 1 deck or something like that, you know people are going to want to play with Vampire Tribal. So yeah, I think this is a 2-drop that you probably want to include in that deck.
All right, next up, we have a very confusing card with a new mechanic. It's called Dig Up, which is 1 green for a sorcery. It says search your library for a basic land card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle. But it also has a cleave cost of 1, 2 black, and a green, so you may cast this spell for its cleave cost. If you do, remove the words in the square brackets. The words in the square brackets in this case was basic land and reveal it. So it turns into search your library for a card, put it into your hand, shuffle.
I think it's really cool. I mean, I like the idea behind it. Like, I don't think it's that confusing. I think it's you can use it at all stages of the game, right? Beginning to get some land, and then you can just get whatever you want. I mean, it's not going to be as pushed as fucking the other tutors that we've seen in the past, but that might be for a good reason. I don't know.
So cleave as a mechanic, I don't understand the point of it. I don't know why, because Wizards have done this in the past. Why couldn't this have just been like a modular card where it has its original text and then like I don't know, because they even did this in like Strixhaven of like if you paid this cost, instead do this thing. To me, just like aesthetically, having the brackets on this card, it just kind of looks a little ugly to me. I get that this card is cool. I don't actually think the tutor portion of this with cleave is very good because it costs 4 mana in 2 different colors with 3 specific hard cast colors. I don't think this card is great in any way.
feel like we're gonna see it being played though.
Probably.
I mean, yeah, I could use it to go grab a basic land. It's a 1 mana go grab a basic land. I just don't know if I ever am going to be interested in casting. What is it? It's a harder to cast Diabolic Tutor.
I wouldn't say like I think what they're trying to do here is make the card relevant in every stage of the game, so you can keep it in your opening hand, be stoked, draw it turn 8, be stoked. Like I think it's fine.
Speaking of tutor, let's move on to another tutor. This is Demonic Bargain. Demonic Bargain is 2 and a black for sorcery. It says exile the top 13 cards of your library. Then search your library for a card. Put that card in your hand, then shuffle.
I know what this is going to do.
You better hope you don't exile the card you're looking for.
This is what happens with me every time I try to demonic consultation. I try to tutor for that card, and then I flip the top 6, and I see that card in the top 6, and I go, well, shit, my day is ruined, and my game is done. This is going to cause me to flip the top 13 cards of my library and see my entire combo piece just like immediately go.
Not an EDH, baby. You're fine.
Oh, dude, 100. Dude, if I can flip the top 6 and screw myself, the top 13 is definitely going to destroy me. Given that the other one that I was just talking about is literally going to kill me. This one won't kill me. But I mean, there goes my ability to win this game.
Do you think this sees plays in standard? Because 13 cards is a lot of cards to hit yourself in a 60-card deck.
And like you need to play it early, or then you're really fucked.
Yeah.
I
I don't
don't
know.
agree. I think that this is actually still fine in a late stage portion of a game.
You got 20 cards left. You playing this card?
A lot of
You
cards in standard that could win you the game on the spot.
How do you have 20 cards left if you've just gotten rid of 13?
No. I'm saying late game. You have 20 cards in your deck. Are you playing this card?
I mean, no, but if you have 20 cards left in your deck, you don't need to because you drew the card that you needed to tutor for.
Well, let's say the fucking the bitch screwed you, dude.
All right, well, that just happens then. I don't know. I don't think this is a tutor that you need to play if you got a ton of card draw. And honestly, I mean, like even at 3 mana and this ability, I don't think that this per se is like it's good enough. I don't know if this is going to be good enough for standard, nor do I really know if you would want to play a tutor effect in standard to begin with. Just because I mean, like at 3 mana, I don't know. I mean, people play like Wishclaw Talisman and stuff like that in historic, so maybe.
Question for you: would you rather play this or dig up for the cleave cost?
I would rather do neither.
That's not part of the game.
I honestly, okay, I think I would probably rather do this because this
course you
costs
would.
less
All right,
and
next.
is less restrictive. Plus, it doesn't require the 2 colors.
Fuck off. Next.
Next
I
up,
love
we
you,
got
David. I love you.
Torens, Fist of Angels. This was actually announced in the double feature set. However, this one is coming from Crimson Vow. So, technically, it's a spoiler for Crimson Vow. Torens, Fist of Angels costs 1 and a green and a white for a 2/2 legendary creature human cleric. It's got training. In case you don't already remember what it does, it's whenever this attacks with another creature with greater power, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. Whenever you cast a creature spell, create a 1/1 green and white human soldier creature token with training. So this card says training.
It's training soup.
What do you think, Dave?
Dude. I wanna hear what Dave thinks.
Your 2 favorite colors, David. Let's see.
Oh, these are my least 2 favorite colors by a long shot. This is, I don't know, I feel like it's weird. It has that young pyromancer hero precinct 1 kind of like feel to it where I drop this and want to just like protect it and just use its ability to just like way overrun the board. And since they're coming out, like these little human tokens are coming out with training, they're gonna start to get bigger, assuming that you, I guess, can continue to have something with more than 2 power in play. I think this card is good.
Wow.
I think this card is counterintuitive off the one thing you just said. Not protecting if you're attacking every turn to fucking trigger training.
I don't.
You don't attack a pyromancer, right?
Yeah, no, you don't. But I mean, well, okay, you don't unless you absolutely need to. But I mean, even with this one, you don't necessarily need to attack with him for you to be able to hopefully be triggering training. I mean, you are realistically playing other creatures in your deck. And he's got that upside of like whenever you cast a creature spell, you're going to make those additional creatures. Those tokens have training, which I think is why this card is good. Because like you swing in with one of the tokens, it starts off as a 1/1, then it becomes a 2/2, a 3/3, so forth and so on. And your deck is just going to continue to make these things.
Question. Will it trigger if they both are 1/1s?
No, it's not going to trigger if they're both 1/1s, but I'm assuming that in this case you probably have an additional 2/2 or a 3/3 or something else in play as well.
It's a lot,
You're
lot of
making-
setup there, but yeah, a lot of setup there.
You're
but
making a lot of tokens every time you cast a creature. That's cool.
I like
don't
that part.
Let's move on. This next card is Anje, or Angie, Maid of Dishonor. She costs 2, a black and a red for a 4/5 legendary creature vampire. Whenever she attacks and/or one or more other vampires enter the battlefield under your control, create a blood token. This ability triggers only once each turn. You also pay 2, sacrifice another creature or a blood token. Each opponent loses 2 life, and you gain 2 life.
There
What do
is
we think?
every safety valve I can possibly imagine on this card.
Triggers only once.
Once each turn. And or
Yeah.
I like breaking my cards, and this has so many breaks on it that like I can't.
I said no, Dave. No.
I don't even want to look at this thing.
Rakdos, your favorite color combination. You don't like
It
it?
is my favorite color combination, and here lately I feel like people wouldn't believe me because they've been shitting all over the Rakdos cards they've been printing. Wizards, get better at Rakdos.
All right, well,
Yeah.
we'll talk about this card more in our commander because it is
4 mana
legendary.
for a 4/5 though, dude.
It's pretty good stats.
Pretty good stats. David hates it. All right, next.
Next, we're going to another vampire because it is a vampire-themed set. This is Dominating Vampire. Dominating Vampire is 1 and 2 red for a 3/3 vampire. When it enters the battlefield, gain control of target creature with mana value less than or equal to the number of vampires you control until end of turn. Untap that creature, it gains haste until end of turn. Very boring card.
Yeah, but that's fucking like that could be mono red aggro right there, dude.
This is your mono red aggro card,
Yeah.
dude. It's a 3/3 that comes down and steals their blocker for a turn.
Yeah.
And if your opponent happens to be playing with like a specific 2 mana 4/4 spirit creature token, or not creature token, but creature with
God.
flying, go ahead, take that, swing with it, and then it dies.
I'm going to rebuke what you guys just said and say that this specifically states it takes stuff with mana value less than or equal to the number of vampires you control.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do a mono red vampire aggro deck.
No. You mean to tell me that there's not going to be a 1-drop vampire or a 2-drop vampire that's going to see play? We've
There
already
is
talked.
actually.
This also doesn't have haste.
It doesn't
but
have haste.
The ETB doesn't need haste to affect it.
It's true, I understand what you're saying, but
Honor,
you
you're
have
wrong.
to have a lot of vampires. If you want something like you have to have 4 vampires if you want to take something that has 4 mana. It's a lot.
This is coming down turn 3 though on curve. You really only want to take their like 1 or 2 drop, dude.
That's saying you have 2 other vampires in play.
Yeah, there is a 1-drop vampire that's already in mono red.
Well, whatever.
It's gonna be a thing, Hunter. Just let it happen.
We're going to talk about another red card right now. This is Change of Fortune. This is 4 mana total, 3 and a red for a sorcery. Discard your hand, then draw a card for each card you've discarded this turn. Get a new hand for 4 mana. David, I think you love this card.
I think he does.
I think it's okay. I mean, I like being able to filter things. My only gripe with this is that like this is actually going to net negative you by 1 because you have to be able to cast this thing as well. So like if you happen to have 3 cards in hand and you cast this, you're going to discard 2 and then you draw 2. So I mean it's fine. It's just that like I'm never actually super high on these cards.
The artwork is freaking me out.
It's freaking me out, man. All right, you want to move on?
I've actually got to go. Love you. Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye. Next up, we have a reprint that is Thalia, Guardian of Thraben. If you don't know what Thalia, Guardian of Thraben is, it costs 1 and a white for a 2/1 legendary creature human soldier. It's got first strike. Also says non-creature spells cost 1 more to cast. Pretty sure this is like the 9th or 10th iteration of Thalia with different artwork. So this has been around for a long time. I'm kind of upset that we didn't get a new Thalia.
I mean, this is one of the better Thalias, dude. I'll take it.
It is.
I like
I'll
it.
agree with you there.
Cool art. I like how they brought up the thing in the announcement. Zombies are knocking at the window. Fucking cool.
Protecting, dude.
It's a good card.
Yep.
Not much to say about it, though. I already know it's good.
Yeah. A new card, however, a straight to commander card, is called Wedding Ring. Wedding Ring is 2 and 2 white for an artifact that states when it enters the battlefield, if it was cast, target opponent creates a token that's a copy of it. Whenever an opponent who controls an artifact named Wedding Ring draws a card during their turn, you draw a card. Whenever an opponent who controls an artifact named Wedding Ring gains a life during their turn, you gain that much life. So you're bonded.
Fucking love this card, dude.
Pretty sick.
I don't know what Dave was gonna say, but I think this card's fucking sick, dude.
I like this card a lot.
Like,
Especially-
imagine David and I get married. We're just gonna fucking shit on you, dude.
That'd be amazing. Well, someone actually pointed out Osgear, that new commander from Strixhaven, actually goes really well with this. Because if you make a token of this, so say you play this card, you copy it, and then it goes to the graveyard and you create a copy. So you have 2 wedding rings. That person has 1. That means you do double whenever that person does something. They draw a card, you draw 2. They gain 1 life, you gain 2 life. It's pretty nuts.
Yo, I want them to come up with another thing that says like divorce papers, and it kills their ring. That'd be
Force
fucking awesome.
papers.
That'd be awesome, dude.
And finally, they announced the 2 face commanders for the new commander precons. The first one is Millicent, Restless Revenant. That costs 5, a white and a blue, for a 4/4 legendary creature spirit soldier. That states this spell costs 1 less to cast for each spirit you control. It's got flying. It states whenever it or another non-token spirit you control dies or deals combat damage to a player, create a 1/1 white spirit creature token with flying. The other one is Strefan, Maurer, Progenitor. It costs 2, a black and a red, for a 3/2 legendary creature vampire noble. It's got flying. It states at the beginning of your end step, create a blood token for each player who lost life this turn. Whenever Strefan attacks, you may sack 2 blood tokens. If you do, you may put a vampire card from your hand onto the battlefield tapped and attacking. It gains indestructible until end of turn. Whew. So yeah, those 2 cards, face commanders. We will be doing our upgrade videos very shortly. Well, not shortly, but when they announce the stuff.
I'm buying that. So
Yeah.
the spirit one 100%.
You're a spirit boy.
Dude, think about how cool it is. Like, you can basically kind of get around the commander tax a little bit. Like a tiny little bit.
Yeah, I know. As long as you have a lot of spirits.
Which is, yeah, you make big spirits and what's commander tax, baby?
Exactly. And then the vampire one, pretty cool. Goes along with the blood token. You could definitely pretty wide.
I
It's
like
like
that one a lot.
it's like Kalia essentially.
I'm gonna say, I like Kalia, and that captain attacking is fucking brutal.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we'll come around and start liking blood tokens. Who knows?
Who knows? So yeah, those are the 2. We will do our $100 upgrade, $300 upgrade videos when they are announced with the full pre-con deck list. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Until next time, this is Guys That Magic. We will be coming back all week for spoiler season. See you then. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. Goodbye.
Bye.